Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We will read from Bhagavad Gita as it is. Nature, danger and consciousness. This is the chapter 13. And we will discuss the verse numbers 6 and 7. Some of you have the Bhagavad Gita? Okay. Mahabhutani ahankaro buddhirabhyaktam evacha indriyani dasaikam cha panchachendriya gochara ichhadvesa sukham dukkham sanghatas dhruti etat kshetram samasena sabikaram udavrutam mahabhutani ahankaro buddhirabhyaktam evacha indriyani dasaikam cha panchachendriya gochara ichhadvesa sukham dukkham sanghatas dhruti etat kshetram samasena savikaram udahrutam. Mataji. Mahabhutani, the great elements. Ahankaraha, false ego. Buddhi, intelligence. Abhyaktam, the unmanifested. Eva, certainly. Cha, also. Indriyani, the senses. Dasa ekam, 11. Cha, also. Pancha, 5. Cha, also. Indriya gochara, the objects of senses. Ichha, desire. Dvesaha, hatred. Sukham, happiness. Dukkham, distress. Sanghataha, the aggregate. Chetana, living symptoms. Dhrutihi, conviction. Etat, all this. Kshetram, the field of activities. Samasena, in summary. Sabikaram, with interactions. Udahrutam, exemplified. Translation and purport by S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The 5 great elements: false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the 5 sense objects: desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, life symptoms and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be field of activities and its interactions. Purport: from all the authoritative statements of the great sages, the Vedic hymns and the aphorisms of Vedanta Sutra, the components of this world can be understood as follows. First, there are earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are 5 great elements, Mahabhuta. Then there are false ego, intelligence, and the unmanifested stage of 3 modes of material nature. Then there are 5 senses for acquiring knowledge: the eyes, the ears, nose, tongue and skin, and then 5 working senses: voice, leg, hands, anus and genitals. Then above these senses there is mind, which is within and which can be called the sense within. Therefore, including the mind, there are 11 senses altogether. Then there are 5 objects of senses: smell, taste, form, touch and sound. Now the aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of activities. If one makes an analytical study of these 24 elements, then he can very well understand the field of activity. Then there are desire, hatred, happiness and distress, which are interactions, representations of 5 great elements in the gross body. The living symptoms, represented by consciousness and convictions, are the manifestations of the subtle body, mind, ego and intelligence. These subtle elements are included within the field of activities. The 5 great elements are a gross representation of the false ego, which in turn represents the primal stage of false ego, technically called materialistic conceptions, or tamasa buddhi, intelligence and ignorance. This further represents the unmanifested stage of 3 modes of material nature. The unmanifested modes of material nature are called pradhan. One who desires to know the 24 elements in detail, along with their interaction, should study the philosophy in more detail. In Bhagavad Gita, a summary only is given. The body is the representation of all these factors, and there are chains of the body, which are 6 in number. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay. At the last stage it vanishes. Therefore, the field is a non-permanent material thing. However, the Kshatrajna, the knower of the field, this proprietor, is different. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you to this Bhagavad Gita class. This subject matter that we are discussing today, particularly in this chapter 13, is more technical in nature. It requires contemplative mind to understand this subject. This verse number 6 and 7 together, they give us an idea what is matter and what is not matter, or what is spirit. So all that were spoken in this verse, the 24 elements, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the life symptom, conviction, all these are matter. Sometime when a patient is taken to the ICU, the doctor looks at the life symptom, and based on that the doctor declares the person is dead. This is one of the greatest illusion that happen every time in this world. You look at the life symptom and you say this is not there, then you declare somebody is dead. But actually this life symptom refers to the body. It has nothing to do with the spirit. It requires great deal of introspection to recognize what is spirit. Most of the times we take our own emotions to be that of the spirit. Hence we act on our emotions. Sometimes our emotions may reflect my anger, my happiness, my distress, my affection, my love, and whatnot. But to mistake these emotions to be that of mind, the spirit, the biggest illusion. Now when we talk about 5 elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether, they appear to be very gross, but actually they are a very gross form of my if I don't say they are emotion, I will say simply because emotion is also a form of expression of my experience. So everything is a form of experience. Just like I touch something, it's cold, it's an experience. I touch something that is hot, is an experience. Somebody scolds me, I feel hot, that's another experience. Just like, in a painting, somebody paints an apple. And this apple is so real, it fascinates me as much as a real apple that I eat fascinates me. So what is the difference between the apple that I eat and the apple that has been painted? So if you look at if you objectively analyze this, the apple in the painting and apple out there in the tree, both are an experience. Both are experiences. Both are experiences. That is why it is said, the pure consciousness and false consciousness, they are so subtle, so alike. If one is not properly pursuing the path of transcendence, may mistake the false ego or the realm of false ego to be the realm of experience, the realm of the spirit. Because the pure consciousness and false consciousness almost alike. That's why the pure consciousness is covered by the false consciousness. So this false consciousness, which always activates me to act, is a false consciousness that gives me many identities by which I act. And that has become perpetually call him, tell him he should call to my wife. Sorry, Hare Krishna. So false consciousness is so close that actually this entire world is a world of experience, and they are variegated manifestation of the same false consciousness. Sometimes we call, those who are little science oriented, they talk about the world in terms of something objective, something subjective. But actually there is nothing called objective and subjective. The objective and subjective divide is simply a mental concoction, because they are of these two sides of the same coin. It is a false consciousness that is, just like Prabhupada is saying here, the 5 great elements are a gross representation of the false ego. Earth, water, air, fire, ether, they are also experience. They are finer experience. Like suppose you go to, there is a projector and there is a screen. Through the projector, you project on the screen some drama. Let's see. So what actually you see in the screen? You see in the screen simply some pixels, in the computer science language, some pixels with the different colors, they are appearing in different patterns. Right? But, you say, oh, this devotee is acting as Rama, or that devotee is acting as Sita, or this. This is an experience for you. But if you look at that projector, what is there? They are simply different pixels with different colors, different patterns. There is no actor there. But it gives you same experience. Like that projector, that in the screen, projected screen, whatever experience you are getting, you get the same experience if those actors would have acted here. No difference. So should I say now these actors are actually pixels? Some pixel patterns there. The fact is, this is in science we call scientific realism. Scientific realism, what is scientific realism? Scientific realism means, based on my experience, I try to figure out what is the real world underlying my experience. I am experiencing, and based on that experience, I want to know what is the real world, or what is that. I want to see those actors. Neither I can see actors. For me, the actors acting there and the pixels different, giving so many varieties of patterns, both are same. Why? Because using my limited sense perception, and depending on the level of ignorance or enlightenment I have, based on that, I have different kind of experiences. And I can only have experience, nothing else. So apple is an experience, table is an experience, Suva Krishna is also an experience. All the devotees sitting here also different experience for me. And whatever, suppose I say I will take a microscope, I enhance my senses, right? So what scientists have done, they have a telescope. Telescope is there to enhance your view. Okay? And microscope is there also to enhance your view of small object. Just like telescope is there to see very large objects in the outer sky, similarly microscope is there to see something very, very tiny, right? It is not that I am creating something extraordinary. I am simply enhancing my experience, level of experience. Okay? So all these, scientific equipment are simply like, sometime you have, you might have seen that, there will be manuscript or very, very small letters, and people put a lens and they try to see and read it. All right. So these are simply the same. They are simply extension of my this knowledge acquiring senses. For example, their eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. That's it. Nowadays these are haptic devices. Imagine, suppose, it is possible. Even in our lifetime is possible. I can put a wonderful TV screen here, and there your friend in America, he can come through the TV screen and you can have a handshake with him. 3D experience you can have. Yes. You can have a 3D experience of your friend from America through a TV screen. Same experience, Just like suppose I embrace Subha Krishna, the experience that I will have a similar experience with a person who is coming through the TV screen being projected from America. No problem. But with all these things, I really cannot touch my own self. The self remains as light years far away from me as the remote stars are far away from me. This is the biggest dilemma. The biggest dilemma is that we are searching for something. In the process, sometime we may be lost in all these, delicacies which nature presents to us in the form of 24 elements. And my search for truth becomes again big zero. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavatam, in Yoga Vasistha, in many Vedanta Sutra also, in different literature, these issues have been described by the great sages such that when we search for our own identity, we are not lost to these elements thinking they are one of us or I am one of them. This can be a greatest tragedy if I assume the sum of these things to be of myself. But then how on earth we can become freed? It looks very, very tough for us that more and more intellectually, scientifically, I go deeper into any aspect of the reality or the phenomenal experience that I have, the deeper and deeper scratch I do, I can only find another form of experience of myself, of my body, not myself. So how do I separate myself, that which is a pure experience, from that which is polluted or false experience? So this is the paradox for a spiritual scientist. Just like for a material scientist, you have many paradox, right? One paradox is the heap of sand, You know the sand, heap sand paradox. What is that? Recent there was a movie. That suppose you have you bring in sand and you make it. It looks a heap of sand, right? You can see. Now you take out this sand particle, one after another, and when you will say, this is no more heap. It's a paradox, right? Similarly, when I will say this is not false consciousness, but this is pure consciousness. This is a paradox for the spiritualist. And we have to be always on our toes to recognize this is not me or this is me. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I am now going away from this subject because this is, and I can talk about this, but this is a little more, is a little more intriguing in a sense that it may not interest you. But the idea that the goal is very clear. Goal is that Krishna is presenting to us a paradox that, my dear friends or my dear Arjuna, when you try to understand yourself, you be careful that you are not associating yourself with any of these 24 elements. Neither you are associating with yourself with distress, happiness, even the living symptoms, the aggregate of all sets of emotions that you may have. If you can withdraw yourselves completely from all these things, then you will see yourself as you are. Okay, that is what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. Now, how do you do it? How do I separate myself? Because as a spirit self, my existence, I am so tiny, and I experience myself within. As a spiritual self, as a person who is a little advanced, he can withdraw his senses within, and by the causeless mercy of Guru and Krishna, he can see himself or herself as a servant of Krishna, or having a natural relationship with Krishna, a very loving relationship with Krishna. So that's something that we are searching for. We have a relationship with Krishna, and the purity, how pure I am. Today we are reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is describing how he was instructed by Haridas Pandit, Bhugarbha Goswami, Shivananda Pandit, and like that. There are many exalted souls residing in Vrindavan those time. They instructed him, they requested him to write Chaitanya Charitamrita, in particular giving more emphasis to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's final pastimes, particularly the Mahabhava. Okay. And so there, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami submits, how can I write anything that connects to Krishna or Gauranga Mahaprabhu? I am soaked in sense gratification. I am so fallen. So there he writes that before he has to write this Chaitanya Charitamrita, even if he was requested by his exalted God brothers or the exalted Vaishnavas living at that time in Vrindavan, he went to the temple of Madan Mohan and wanted permission from Madan Mohan. And as he prayed to Madan Mohan in front of the Madan Mohan deity in the temple, the garland from the deity fell down or slipped in, and the pujari, he recognized that Madan Mohan has actually given his permission to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to write Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, I am a puppet, I am a parrot. It is Madan Mohan who is actually dictating and I am writing. This is the relationship. Our purity, how pure I am, or my purity can only be defined. How am I situating myself with a relationship with Krishna? Krishna is the doer. I am the instrument. Krishna is the puppeteer. I am the puppet. Krishna is the master. I am the servant. As long as this is taken into account in my relationship, that relationship defines the purity or the attributes of pure consciousness, or I am actually going towards my own self, my real self. Anything else for that matter can be kept aside. They have nothing to do with me. So The idea is that we are actually floating in the darkness of ignorance, or ignorance, the ocean of ignorance. We are just floating helplessly. If anybody who has a sense, I'll just give you an example. I think this happened just day before yesterday. I was going to Jabalpur for a PhD thesis examination. I had one devotee with me. As soon as I reached the station, I found my train is moving. So devotee, what he did is that he took my luggage and told me, you just get into the train. So I got into the train in a passenger compartment, and then he handed over the luggage to another person, and that's how I entered into the train. It was moving. So I had no water, nothing. And after half an hour or so, the train stopped somewhere, and I shifted to my own apartment, own cabin, on buggy. And I am trying to find some water. I could not find. Feeling very thirsty. And almost in the middle of the night, I felt very suffocated. It appeared to me as if I am going to die. It's a fact, I was feeling. So I got down, and I am thinking, should I drink that water which is coming in the tap? And then again I am going and up my cabin, and then I am just meditating how this whole body, on whom I am actually depending so much that it will carry me to my destination, is fragile. Just a little bit of water, and if I simply get that water, I know I'll again act as if nothing has happened. That is why you will see that, if you go to Raman Reti, or you go to Gita Bhavan in Rishikesh, when they serve you prasadam, so they will say Roti Ram, Sabji Ram, Pani Ram, like that. So you can easily see that actually this is all these things which by my own misfortune I have separated from the actual divine absolute truth, that is Krishna. I have separated, and I am thinking these are the things, they are real, but they are actually in my figment of imagination. They are simply, are just like fleeting universe. Similarly, they are disappearing and appearing, disappearing, appearing. Millions of bodies I have already taken. Another millions of body I will take, just by virtue of my own misfortune, the way I am acting. I am acting in false consciousness, another billion bodies. But as long as I drive myself and focus, this is my Guru wants, this is my spiritual master wants, I want to satisfy him. I want to draw a smile from my spiritual master. I want to draw a smile from Lord Gauranga, or I want to draw a smile from Krishna. This, as long as these are the objectives, at least we are in the right path. I might not have seen myself, but at least with these objectives, there is a great hope that I can come out of this greatest niche science. Otherwise, you see, I am so tiny spiritual consciousness, and it has become so dormant over the years because of my being acting solely on the false consciousness, a level of false consciousness. I'm just, I'm sleeping almost. I'm absolutely sleeping. And it is completely taken over by the false consciousness. And that false consciousness is again a thick layer of, intelligence that is actually, promoting this false consciousness. And that intelligence is again has been is being promoted by the mind. That's another layer, and a thick layer. Mind is so dangerous. And from mind, you look at the gross sense objects, tanmatras, and then your senses, 5 gross elements, and there you are. I'm just looking at myself in the form of 5 Pancha Mahabhuta, earth, water, air, fire, ether. Very difficult. And that which is sleeping there from time immemorial, for him to come out and express itself with its full beauty is very difficult. So somehow by Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavana Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Vijay. It is simply causeless mercy of Sri Guru and Sri Krishna that this tiny entity which was sleeping has come, is coming to its awakening state. Okay? And it requires spiritual nourishment. So that is why we devotees have to be very careful. We have to remain together, help each other, tolerate each other's, all kind of, we all create our own disturbance. So we have to tolerate. If I tolerate others, others will tolerate me. Otherwise, it's very difficult to live in this world and be in the path of truth. So, to end this class, I would like to say that we have great fortune today. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was saying, Sri Chaitanya Prabhur Daya Karohe Vichara Vichara Karile Pave Chitte Chamatkara. He says that actually the chapter before this chapter, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, Mahaprabhu, he first liberated everybody through his Sankirtan movement. But then, Jagai, Madhai, and so many, all categories, sinful, sinless, everybody he actually, he liberated them. Only one category he didn't liberate, that was Sankarites. Alright. And to liberate them, Mahaprabhu became sannyasa. And he took sannyasa from a Sankara Sampradaya. Right? And then Mahaprabhu came to, of course, in that as a sannyasa, he liberated first the Sankarites, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And then he came to Banaras on his way to Mathura. And in Banaras, as he chanted and danced, this Prakasananda Saraswati and his 60,000 disciples, those were sannyasis actually. He had 60,000 sannyasi disciples. Amazing. Nowadays to find one sannyasi is so difficult. Maharaj, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. It's so difficult to find a sannyasi. So 60,000 sannyasi disciples, Shankaracharya. Amazing. What an opulence that they had. And Mahaprabhu came, and these people, they were actually criticizing, hey, what kind of sannyasi he is? He's dancing like a mad fellow. Sentiment. Prabhupada used to say, no? You have no philosophy, only sentiment, then it's fanaticism. You have philosophy, no sentiment, it's a speculation. So we have to have the right balance. And they thought he is in sentiment, he has no philosophy, right? So Chandrasekhar Acharya, Tapan Mishra, Sanatana Goswami, that time Sanatana Goswami also has fled from the jail and reached Banaras. And Mahaprabhu has already instructed him. So all of them, they are very distressed that Mahaprabhu is being offended. People are criticizing him. And for them, life has become very hell. How can you live when your own master is being criticized? So still Mahaprabhu didn't act. He went to Mathura, Vrindavan, and finishing his Vrindavan Lila, he came back to Banaras. And this time, he accepted the invitation of a Brahmana who had invited all the 60,000 disciples. I don't want to go in details of this because that is not the objective. Of course, the 60,000 disciples finally, along with Prakashananda Saraswati, were converted to Vaishnavas, my Mahaprabhu's mercy. Right? So Mahaprabhu actually converted everyone to devotees. Sankarites are the most difficult to be converted because they are aparadhi, offender to Krishna. And they were delivered. So that's why Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is saying, Sri Chaitanya Prabhur Daya Karo hai Vichar. Vichara karile pave chitte chamatkar. Because we all want to apply our logic. If somebody is saying something, we always think whether he is right or wrong. We somehow apply some logic, right? If we have little intelligence. And that is why intelligence is very dangerous, because we always try to apply it. So, Mahaprabhu, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is saying, if you really want to apply your logic and intelligence and everything, you apply it to the mercy of Mahaprabhu. How merciful he is. Okay? He is just ocean of mercy. And he is there. Because of him, the entire world is chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Right? I was in Zurich. My collaborator Frank Schweizer and myself, we were going in the tram. And some devotees are chanting on somewhere. And the chanting is coming. And you can hear it actually. And Frank asked me, Lashmidhar, do you know this people? They look so crazy. What is that they are doing? So I said, they are chanting Krishna's name. But don't you think this is crazy thing? No, I said this is very authentic actually. This is the best form of religious practice we have. And then I told him that I am staying actually, these people wherever they are coming, I am staying there. And you are actually paying for that rent, So Frank is paying for my rent. So you are paying your rent to these people only. Oh, so I told him that why don't you come with your wife next day? So the idea is that people everywhere, in any situation, because of Mahaprabhu's mercy, they are able to chant. And that chanting is not simply, you cannot chant Krishna's name if you really, your ignorance is not removed. It's not easy to chant. You cannot chant if ignorance is not removed. Mahaprabhu comes simply, because all these devotees, they accepted Srila Prabhupada as their savior. Mahaprabhu came and removed that ignorance. And they could see what is the holy name, the glory of holy name. And the devotion, they started chanting. This is Mahaprabhu. We chant, we have to take shelter of Mahaprabhu. And then we can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra very peacefully. No problem. Wherever we are. The only hope is that our affection, our attachment, our full surrender to Mahaprabhu. He is very merciful. And he is not looking at Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Indians, Americans, Europeans, nothing. He has no designation. He is not saying this patra is good, this patra is bad. No, nothing. He is simply giving, just unconditionally. If you are ready to go back to Godhead, he is saying, come, I'll take you back. I'll take back you. So this is the whole mandate that Prabhupada has brought all over the world. This is Mahaprabhu's mission he has taken. And even I didn't know that one day, I will read Bhagavad Gita, and because once upon a time I used to shout at those people who used to talk about Atma and so forth. So now we are talking because we are so animal-like people have been converted, and we are seeking his shelter again and again. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Pramanande Hare Hare Om. Any comment or any question?
Our ego and this one, they bring us that we do this all nonsense. So this hand puppet in the hand of the Lord. So we are same or puppet in the hand of the Lord, but due to our ignorance and our ego, we are not following.
Yeah. Yes, it is like, you see that fan is there, no? You turn off. Still for some time the blades will move. That's because this fan has some inertia. But it has very small inertia. And that's why, after some time it is gone. But our inertia is very big. The inertia we have accrued from ages. And we have to patiently wait. Tatte anukampam susamikhyamana. We have to wait patiently. It will not happen. Yes, we will commit thousands of faults. Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, they don't see our fault. That is our hope. They don't see our fault.
Happiness, distress, emotions is all a series of experience.
Yes.
But there is such a cutthroat competitive world, we have to try hard for survival. So then we have to make an effort to connect ourselves in relationship to God, and effortlessly we identify ourselves with the experiences as reality. So virtual is reality and reality is virtual for us.
Mm-hmm.
So where to start unwinding this whole thing? Because everyone around, even on the path of spiritual life, we are still attached to the experiences, and the experiences become so vivid for us Like people commit suicides when their things are not met with. So from which point onward we start unwinding this whole struggle?
That is why our first verse in Mangalarati, Sansara Dava Nalalita Loka, blazing forest fire. And only hope is following the faith. By following the Guru's instruction, we develop that faith. Our faith is scientific. Once, one lawyer, he was traveling with me. And so when I was, I started preaching to him, he said, I have all this faith. I said, sir, you don't have faith. So he was a little perturbed. So he says, I believe Jagannath. He was a Orissa, fellow from Orissa. I said, you don't believe Jagannath. And I created doubt in him. I said, you believe only as much or to that level when, up to that level where your material needs are satisfied. If they are not satisfied, you forget. Your faith is not scientific, it is blind. You say Jagannath until that point when you have got a nice job, you are getting your bread and butter very nicely, your kids are doing very nicely, right? So, but for us, you see, devotees, yes, we take, as you said, we take our emotions to be real. Many times we act upon it. But in spite of all those reverses, we have faith in Krishna. That scientific faith has come to us by the causeless mercy of Guru and Krishna. In spite of all those reverses, I act mad, I act with the madness I act. And because of that, I may be retrenched from my job, right? Or because of that madness, I may get a divorce. Because of that madness, so many other reversals may happen. But my faith in Krishna is not getting disturbed. Rather, I come back and act in such a way, my faith in Krishna is enhanced. I take that. So this will happen, but what is the saving grace for us? That seed that is given to us by our spiritual master. That seed will help us. Yes, it's very difficult. Even in dealing with my own kid, I become mad. So what to speak of even outside world? It's difficult. It's very difficult to remain in our original position. But our faith never gets, as far as my experience is concerned, I have done billions of mistakes after becoming Krishna conscious or by being brought into this particular path. But I can tell very frankly, since the day I have come to this process, my faith has never been disturbed. My faith in the process has never been disturbed. In fact, I live with that hope that this faith is only my hope. The faith is Krishna is existing. Krishna is taking care of me. He is my master. This faith, this surrendering to Krishna is the ultimate. This faith is a science for me now. I live by that. In most difficult time, I still call out for him. I don't call out for anybody else. This will be there. But the idea is that these are there to let us know that I am actually acting in false consciousness, not in pure consciousness. Just to tell that Krishna is telling, these are, my dear friends, are not you. These are the field of activities. This is the matter. So this is just to give us thought, food for thought, that how do I come back once I have made a mistake, how do I come back and again engage in my original faith? That is important. So even if I am disturbed and my faith is not disturbed, so faith is disturbed, then there is problem. Many times, like we have seen, Mahakratu Prabhu was telling me, some devotee, he went for a hiking in the hill, uphill, and suddenly one big stone came down and his son got killed, and he left Krishna consciousness. So that's where the danger. If in spite of all odds I remain fixed in the path, then I should feel very happy. All other things, even we see even Mahabharata, in all Ramayana, we have seen acting in a different way. But what saves them is finally their faith in Krishna. So this faith is the most important. Yes, Mataji.
Also, a few purports ago, Prabhupada kindly mentioned that just by the process of devotional service, all these things will be unwound, as you put it, with no extra endeavor. It may take some time, but if you have the faith and you keep that persisting in the process, then you get the detachment. It's only a matter of time. It's probably
Yeah. In fact, the process of renunciation is such, we have to perform our activities so wonderfully, but simultaneously remaining detached, only attached to Krishna. Then only our actions will become beautiful. Majority time we perform, suppose we take care of our kids from the platform of attachment. We take care of our job from the platform of attachment. And then these kind of things attack us more. So Mataji made that very important point. The renunciation, that's detached platform. We have to, suppose we are taking care of Gurukula, we have to take care of it very nicely, but not from the attached platform, detached platform. It's Krishna's job, we are doing it for him. And that's why you have to do it for. It's not because, this is our thing, then because of that we have to do. And it's finished. So acting from the platform of attachment and acting from the platform of detachment. So these are the two different plane of action. One will bring us misery, the other will bring us divine happiness. Yes, Roji, you have? Yes. Okay, thank you so much. I think we are already late. Thank you, Mataji, giving me an opportunity to speak. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.